Hi, this is Sandra Acevedo, Community Dietitian with the Riverside Community Health Foundation. Today I'm showing you the third and final part of my presentation on cancer nutrition. We're going to finish the list of foods that have shown to have strong preventive properties against cancer development. Like the other two presentations, today's presentation is called Nutrition Beyond Treatment, Part 3. Our learning objectives for this presentation is that by the end of the presentation, you'll be able to identify the importance of nutrition in helping to reduce the risk of cancer reoccurrence, and also being able to remember at least 5 of the foods that we are going to mention today that can help you reduce risk of cancer development. Before we move on to the next slide, for those of you who have seen the first or second part of this presentation, I want to ask you if you can name any of the foods we have talked about in the past. If so, could you write them on the chat box below us for us to see? We want to know how these presentations are influencing your choices. Are you remembering the foods that have been listed in the previous presentations, and have you started to use them in your diet? Are they becoming more normal? Let us know how you're doing. We want to hear from you. So we once again are going to mention phytochemicals because we are talking about them throughout the presentation. They're the main nutrients present in foods that are listed, which show in foods that are show strong potential in helping to reduce risk of cancer reoccurrence. Phytochemicals are naturally occurring compounds in plant foods. They're found in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, and seeds. Phytochemicals also help to protect plants from predators. They also contain protective or disease preventive characteristics. That's why we're talking about them in the presentation. However, phytochemicals don't always behave the same way in a lab as they do in the body. Many have been shown to be strong antioxidants, say in a lab setting, but sometimes they don't, when you see them in the body, the way they're reacting, they don't even get absorbed. So one theory out there is that bacteria in the colon is actually helping to break down this phytochemical, and what's coming out, the new product, is being used, absorbed by the body, which is helping to reduce inflammation in the body or reduce risk of cancer reoccurrence. Once again, we're also looking at the powerful effects that different types of phytochemicals can have on the body. What are the main functions that are being studied? There's a lot more functions than the ones we're talking about, but these are the main ones that are being looked at in labs and in different settings right now. One type of effect that phytochemicals have is an antibacterial effect. So we mentioned specifically with garlic, allicin in garlic has an antibacterial properties. Also, certain phytochemicals can have a hormonal action, hormonal effect. Isoflavones in soy and indoles in cabbage, both of these phytochemicals can help estrogen be less effective in the body overall. So why is this important? Because in studies have shown that higher levels of estrogen in the blood can increase the risk of breast cancer. So including these phytochemicals in your diet is important, so we reduce the effectiveness of estrogen in the body. Another function they have, they can act as antioxidants. Antioxidants provide protection against oxidative damage, and this thus reduces the risk of developing certain cancers. And then another function that they have been studying is that phytochemicals can increase cancer cells' tendency to self-destruct. So all cells know how long they're gonna live, pretty much. They know at what point they're gone. They're not gonna continue to be there present, and they create new cells. Sometimes cancer cells are not aware of that, and they continue being present or reproducing. Phytochemicals make sure that they can increase the tendency of these cells to self-destruct, to not continue to be present in the body or reproduce. So lab and animal studies have also found that, when I say lab, I mean cell studies and animal studies have also found the following methods that phytochemicals can protect us from cancer. They stop carcinogens before they start cancer development. They actually also block the development of new blood vessels that tumors need. So usually when a tumor develops, it wants to create new blood vessels to bring more nutrients to itself so it can reproduce more of the cells. And phytochemicals will actually make sure that this development is stopped right there, that it's blocked so it doesn't produce new blood vessels. They also, certain phytochemicals can help fight inflammation that makes cancer grow more rapidly. So they make the body have less inflammation inside of it, so it doesn't make it an environment prone to developing cancer. And then other phytochemicals can physically attach themselves to cell walls, thereby inhibiting the binding or the binding of pathogens, uh, carcinogens, say, to human cell walls. One of these examples is proanthocyanins, and berries will do this. In the following slides, we're going to continue our list of foods that have been recognized as being very powerful in helping to reduce the risk of cancer development. This list comes from the American Institute of Cancer Research. If you remember from our last presentation, the American Institute of Cancer Research is the nation's leading charity in the field of diet, physical activity, and weight management as it relates to cancer prevention. And the other thing you want to remember, although we're going to be talking about these different types of foods, is that no single food can protect you against cancer by itself. But research does show that a diet filled with a variety of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, and other plant foods can help to lower your risk for many cancers. So the first food we're going to talk about is spinach. It contains beta carotene, vitamin C, and dietary fiber, along with a wide variety of other potential cancer fighters, which make it a nutritional powerhouse and cancer protective. So this is the type of food you want to include regularly in your diet. Find different ways to add it. You want to try adding chopped fresh or frozen spinach into your stir fries or any kind of soup. You can add frozen spinach to smoothies too. It's another good option of making them. Frozen spinach provides an easy, budget-friendly, and nutritious option with nutrients captured as it's freshly picked. So when it's picked to be frozen, they're capturing it at a moment when the nutrients are they're at their best. So that's something good to know when you usually choose frozen vegetables. You're getting vegetables that are getting the nutrients are there at the moment when they're at their best. So you're most likely gonna when you cook them, you're gonna get them at their best too. So, what is in spinach aside from the things we mentioned that is important for our health? We got carotenoids, which could be beta carotene, lutein, or zeaxanthin. They actually help to inhibit cancer cell growth, work as antioxidants, and also help to improve our immune response. We have flavonols, another type of phytochemicals that inhibit inflammation and tumor growth, can aid immunity, and also boost up production of enzymes that clean up the body. Vitamin C is also in spinach, which is a strong antioxidant and also helps to boost up the immune system. It's also rich in fiber, dietary fiber, which keeps our gut bacteria healthy and happy. So when we say we're keeping our bacteria happy, it means that our bacteria is actually keeping our colon healthy too. So that's what's important there. Folate helps to create new immune cells, so it's also found in spinach. Lignans, another type of phytochemical, can help prevent cancer formation, prevent inflammation, and also work as an antioxidant. Spinach is rich in iron, if we remember from Popeye. So iron carries oxygen throughout the body. It's also got vitamin K, which helps with healing, and potassium that helps to manage blood pressure. So it's very rich in nutrients. That's why they call it a nutritional powerhouse. In laboratory studies, carotenoids, like those found in spinach, have they're found that they can help to curb cancer development overall. And in analysis observational studies where they're looking at populations to see their consumption of green leafy vegetables. A greater consumption of green leafy vegetables was associated with a lower risk of estrogen receptor negative breast cancer. They didn't find the same thing for estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. But still, it's important to know that you're finding this type of food that's rich in nutrients, rich in phytochemicals, and they're finding in lab studies that it actually does help to curb cancer development. So including this in your diet is going to be important. Our next food we're going to focus on is squash. Carotenoids in winter squash and beta carotene and alpha carotene, the two types of carotenoids, are important for maintaining healthy cells and strengthening the immune system. So this is another food you want to include in your diet regularly. If you tend to cook more winter squash than you can use at once, you can also freeze the extra in uncooked chunks or as cooked purees. And then you can add this later on to either soups or stir fries or pasta sauce, just to add extra nutrients to your meals that you're making. So, what is in squash or winter squash that's important for us? Winter squash are the ones that you can see here usually. So squash is rich in carotenoids, especially beta carotene, as we mentioned, lutein, zeaxanthin, like what we mentioned with spinach, which can inhibit cancer cell growth, work as antioxidant, and also help to improve our immune response, keep our immune system strong. Um, Squash is also rich in vitamin C, we mentioned is a strong antioxidant and also helps to boost up the immune system. And it also has lignans, another type of phytochemicals which can prevent cancer formation, prevent inflammation, and also work as an antioxidant. Currently, supporting research is showing that including foods such as winter squash that are rich in carotenoids is important as part of a healthful eating habits that can help to reduce cancer risk. In population studies, higher blood levels of carotenoids are linked with a lower risk of overall cancer. So once again, try to find ways. We're going to talk about recipes later on during these presentations, not this one specifically, but in the future. We're also doing recipes with the Riverside Community Health Foundation that are going to include some of these foods that are rich in carotenoids to make sure that we're adding them in our diet and we're including them often. Carotenoids, you're thinking usually your oranges, your yellows, your bright reds, all of those are going to be strong in carotenoids for you to be aware. When you see colors, you want to remember they're going to be rich in antioxidants and phytochemicals. Another food you want to include in your diet regularly is going to be strawberries. They're loaded with vitamin C and a group of polyphenol compounds. So this makes strawberries have a very important role in a diet that is meant to reduce cancer risk. So you want to include it in your diet regularly. I don't know if you guys have ever tried overnight oats before, if you've heard of that term. So overnight oats are exactly that. It's oats that are left overnight to be ready to eat the next day. They're usually mixed with milk and fruits. And frozen strawberries are a perfect ingredient for this quick and healthy option for either breakfast or snacks. You don't need to thaw the strawberries before adding them to the mixture because when you put them overnight, they're going to be ready for the next day. So we encourage you to try that way. We're most likely going to do a recipe on overnight oats in one of our videos in the future. Current research on strawberries focus on its potential to change or influence the genes that are involved in cancer development. In the past, they were research was only focused on how this fruit can actually support our antioxidant defenses because there's a lot of antioxidants present in strawberries. But now they're actually looking at how this compounds inside of strawberries can affect our genes to help reduce our risk of cancer development. What else is in strawberries that's important for us? It's rich in vitamin C, as we mentioned earlier with our other ingredients. Our other foods that we've been mentioning in this presentation. So vitamin C is a strong antioxidant and it also boosts the immune system. It's rich in dietary fiber, which is important for our digestive health, also for our cholesterol level, and also helps us to feel full for a longer time. It's rich in anthocyanins, which can inhibit inflammation and tumor growth, can aid immunity, and also boost production of enzymes that clean up the body. And finally, it's also rich in phenolic acids, which can prevent cancer formation, prevent inflammation, and work as antioxidants. So some type of phenolic acids actually don't get absorbed into the body, but they get broken down by the bacteria in our gut. And the compound that comes out of that once it's broken down is what helps to reduce inflammation in the body and keep our colon area healthy overall, and our body healthy and our body overall with less inflammation. Our next food is tea. So, tea contains compounds that show the potential to protect against cancer by supporting antioxidant defenses. This is something you want to include regularly in your diet. So, one thing to consider, you can use tea when you're trying to reduce the amount of caffeine in your diet. Black tea has only a third to a half the caffeine of coffee. Green tea has even less, and decaf tea has only a trace. Although decaffeinated tea loses at least half of its polyphenol compounds, which is the important phytochemicals we'll be talking about today, but that still leaves plenty, so you can choose what is best for you overall. Choose what's best for you or what you're trying to do too. If you're not trying to reduce your caffeine content, you can have the black tea, which is going to have more. Or if you enjoy coffee, you can also have coffee. Just always be conscious in moderate amounts. So, what is in tea that is important for our health? We find flavonols in tea, which is a type of polyphenol. Flavonols can inhibit inflammation and tumor growth, can aid immunity, boost production of enzymes that help to clean up the body. We also find in tea manganese, which is a mineral that, along with other minerals, can improve bone mineral density. It's also important in the formation of antioxidants in the body that help to reduce damage to the cells and also helps to reduce inflammation and pain in the body. And finally, there is some caffeine, as we mentioned, in tea. And caffeine can be good in moderate amounts because it can speed up the passage of any carcinogens throughout the digestive tract, reducing the time the colon is exposed to these types of substances that could be bad for us. Current research on tea and cancer has been very inconsistent. And this could be due to various reasons. One reason could be that we don't fully understand how different types of tea and their preparation can actually affect results. So that could be one reason why it's different. Another reason why there's so much inconsistency is that there's individual differences in the microbes of the gut and genetic differences in handling compounds created by these microbes. For example, you have two people, the person A and person B. One thing they could have different is that they might have different types of microbes in their guts. So those microbes could handle things differently when we're having tea. The other difference could be that the microbes are producing new compounds, which tends to happen with tea, with polyphenol compounds. Um, and when they produce these new compounds, person A might have genetic differences to person B that cause the new compound that's created by the microbes to reduce inflammation in person A, but may not have the same effect in person B. So we're seeing a lot of differences. That's why they can't fully separate how, or they can't really find a consistent relationship between tea and cancer risk. Why it's been hard to find this in studies. Another thing that could be affecting these inconsistencies is that there's could be interaction with other foods and with lifestyle choices, such as smoking and drinking alcohol. That could also affect whether a relationship between tea and cancer risk is identified in a study. I still recommend, I love tea. I'm a tea drinker, so I recommend drinking tea, drinking the tea you like. Green tea is great. Black tea if you like black tea. It feels good when you're trying to relax, when you're trying to be calm. I'm also be cautious if you're buying tea outside and you're ordering somewhere how much sugar is being added to it. It's another way to keep us hydrated too. It could work as an option to keep us well hydrated. So I do encourage, because of those polyphenol compounds, to drink for people to drink tea, but also be cautious of what else could be added to it. Our next food we'll be talking about are tomatoes. They are relatively unique as a major source of lycopene, which is a red colored phytochemical that's a type of carotenoid. You want to include tomatoes in your diet regularly. When tomatoes are processed into a sauce or they're cooked and mixed with oil, you're more likely to absorb more of the lycopene and beta carotene when it's cooked this way versus just eating the tomato on its own. So we do encourage you, if you're eating tomatoes, cooking a little bit of it, or the processed ones like for our sauce, mixing it with a little bit of oil or a fat can help you absorb the nutrients better. Early research connected tomatoes with reducing the risk of prostate cancer, but the evidence for this link has weakened as the quality of research has improved. Different factors can affect the final results, such as the timing of cancer development, prostate cancer, the consumption of tomatoes, and being able to measure that. And then also possible synergy of tomatoes that can affect final results. We'll talk about synergies of different foods towards the end of this presentation. Nevertheless, although the relationship that they're seeing, this connection is not as strong as what it used to be when this research started, I still would trust, I wouldn't have a doubt that tomatoes can actually help reduce risk of cancer because they're so rich in phytochemicals. What is in tomatoes that can help us overall in our health? It's rich in vitamin C, which is an antioxidant we've mentioned. It's an immune booster. It's also rich in vitamin A, which protects our eye health. It can improve our immune response too, so it's another immune booster. Lycopene, actually, what it does, it inhibits cancer cell growth, works as an antioxidant, and also helps to improve the immune response. And finally, other beta carotenes present in tomatoes can inhibit cancer cell growth too, work as antioxidants too, and also improve the immune cell response, the immune system response. So being aware of that is important. I invite you to look at the Riverside Community Health Foundation's recipes that we do every month. I'm doing the English version. Carla, my coworker, is doing the Spanish version. And in July, we're actually making gazpacho. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of gazpacho before. It's a soup. It's a cold soup from the Spanish cuisine. And the main base is actually tomatoes. It's very simple to make. We're going to show how to make it. And I encourage you to try it, not just because of its flavor. I mean, it's very refreshing too, but also because of the fact that it's so good for your health. It helps to manage blood pressure better. It's rich in antioxidants and phytochemicals, helps to prevent cancer. It's got a mixture of vegetables that sometimes we have a hard time eating, so it's an easier way of us having it. And it's a great option to try during the hot summer months. So that's why we're doing it for this month. So give it a try and let us know how you did with it. Okay. Our next food is going to be walnuts. Research suggests that walnuts, which are rich in polyphenol and other compounds, can be part of a daily diet that reduces cancer risk. So this is something you want to include in your diet regularly. Uh, Walnuts can pair well with many foods that you eat throughout the day. So you can have them as a snack. I tend to have them as a snack, but you can also add them to different foods. You can add them to hot or cold cereal, yogurt, salads, stir fry vegetables, pasta, and whole grains like brown rice or quinoa. Is there any specific ways that you guys pair walnuts with your foods? Would you let us know in the comment box below? Share with us maybe there's something new that we haven't tried yet. So, what is in walnuts that is important for us? We got polyphenols, which can prevent cancer formation, prevent inflammation, and also work as antioxidants. They're also rich in alpha linolenic acid, which is your omega 3s, which can help reduce inflammation in the body. They also have phytosterols. We haven't talked about phytosterols before, but phytosterols are plant compounds that mimic the cholesterol in our body. And when they're present in our body, they actually help your body get rid of extra cholesterol that we have. So in the end, you end up reducing your bad cholesterol because you're consuming foods rich in phytosterols. So adding walnuts to your diet will help to manage your cholesterol better, your cholesterol levels better. Melatonin, which can help with sleep and also help to reduce the risk of cancer by supporting antioxidant defenses. It can also stimulate the body's DNA repair system. So melatonin is also present in walnuts, and you also find tannins. The other names for tannins are proanthocyanins, cyanidins, and also elagitannins. And what happens is that elagitannins are broken down in the digestive system by our gut bacteria, and then this new compound is created called urolithins. And these urolithins are actually absorbed in the body, and they help to increase antioxidant enzymes, decrease free radical damage to DNA that can lead to cancer. So elagitannins are not necessarily absorbed by our body, they're broken down by bacteria, and then bacteria creates a new compound known as urolithins. And urolithins is what is absorbed in our body and helps to reduce risk of cancer. Overall, all nuts support a health promoting diet, but they do differ in the nutrients and plant compounds they provide. Walnuts are unique in several ways and are the ones that have been studied more extensively than others regarding cancer prevention. And evidence from animal studies does suggest that consuming walnuts can influence the expression of genes that regulate cell growth and also the type of gut bacteria that potentially influences our colon health. So, eating walnuts has a direct effect overall on our gut bacteria. So one thing to notice is that past research, emerging evidence and research from human intervention trials has shown that a few weeks of daily walnut consumption enhanced populations of gut bacteria that seem to have a health promoting effect. So eating walnuts for a few weeks can really start to improve the health of your gut. This is going to feed your healthy gut bacteria. Walnuts can be rich in prebiotics, which is the food that is fed to the probiotics, the bacteria that lives in your colon. So including them in your diet is going to be important, including them regularly too. The final food we'll be talking about is actually whole grains. Whole grains include the fiber-rich bran, the nutrient-packed germ, and starchy endosperm. Because refined grains do not contain the bran and germ, whole grains can provide more nutrients, fiber, and health-promoting chemicals. We'll see this on the next slide. This is something you want to include in your diet regularly. There's people that avoid gluten. They might be gluten sensitive or celiac disease, but for them, it's still important to include whole grains in their diet. So gluten-free whole grains can include amaranth, quinoa, buckwheat, corn, millet, teff, brown rice, and wild rice. Many other gluten-free grain products are refined grains, so that are low in fiber and protective compounds. So making sure that you choose the products that are with no gluten, but in their more natural form, it's going to be better because you're going to have more of the whole grain components. So what is in whole grain that is important for us? We got fiber. It's rich in fiber and also in resistant starch. Fiber keeps our digestive system healthy, our gut bacteria happy, reduces cholesterol levels, helps us to feel full, helps us manage our blood glucose better, and indirectly reduces inflammation in the body. Resistant starch supports growth of our healthy bacteria in the colon. Phenolic acids are also present in whole grains, which can increase the cell's anti inflammatory defenses against damage that could lead to cancer. Phytic acids are also found in whole grains, which can reduce damage to colon cells from free radicals in the colon overall, protect the colon. Lignans are also present in whole grains that can prevent cancer formation, prevent inflammation, and also work as antioxidants. Current research is looking at whether there's a difference between having whole grain intact as it comes, such as brown rice, bulgur, quinoa, if this can offer additional benefits beyond bread, cereals, and pasta that are made from milled or minimally processed whole grain flour. So is there a difference between actually eating the grain as it is intact versus having something that's been a little bit more processed, although the bran and the germ have been restored back to make it a whole grain, like when you need to make flour, to you need to separate it and then bring it back together. So that's what the research is focused on right now. We do know that 3 servings of whole grain a day are protective. So what would that look like? That could be 2 slices of whole wheat bread and 1 cup serving of whole grain cereal or a half cup of brown rice. So 3 servings, all that's needed to help reduce risk of cancer overall. In this slide, you can see more directly the difference between whole grains and white refined grain in the process of milling the whole grain. So the whole grain you see here on the side is, you see the bran, which is fiber-rich outer layer that protects the seed and contains B vitamins and trace minerals. Both of them have the endosperm, the middle layer that contains carbohydrates along with some proteins. And then the germ is also on the whole grain, the small nutrient-rich core that contains antioxidants, including vitamin E, B vitamins, and also healthy fats. So you see here the difference between both and what happens once you are choosing something that is whole grain or whole wheat, when you choose whole wheat bread, say, versus something that is refined and it doesn't include both the germ and the bran. Okay? So that's why we want you guys choosing mostly the whole grain. This slide talks a little bit about what food synergy is. I'm going to bring you guys back a little bit to what we've been talking about here. Sometimes we can get so focused on the health benefits of certain vitamins or certain phytochemicals that we can miss an important point. Different components in a single food can work together to benefit our health. So that's why it's important to actually eat the food. Or also, different components in different foods can actually work together to benefit our health. And that whole function of what's happening there is known as food synergy. Food synergy is when nutrients work together to create a greater health effect than what is expected out of just that one phytochemical or vitamin that's present there. And I know in this presentation we're highlighting specific foods, but I want to remind you that it's not just about one food, it's the overall pattern of food that we're eating that matters most. So why does food combining matters? This is what the studies are showing. We have here tomatoes, which are rich in lycopene. When they're mixed with a healthy fat or carotenoids, which is a type, lycopene is a type of carotenoid, and a healthy fat, it's more likely that the carotenoid is going to be absorbed better. So fats like avocado can make the carotenoids more bioavailable. Here you have oatmeal and orange juice. The organic compounds in both of these foods called phenols can help stabilize your cholesterol when consumed together. The last one here is broccoli and tomatoes. New research shows that this combo prevents prostate cancer, but no one is sure why. They don't understand the relationship yet, but they're noticing that eating this together can help to prevent prostate cancer. Studies have shown that the antioxidant effects of consuming a combination of fruits are more than additive but synergistic, meaning that this one, say blueberries might be rich in a certain type of phytochemical, while grapes are rich in another one. It's not just the the function of those phytochemicals that it's important. When they're actually eaten together, you're finding synergistic effects, meaning that they enhance their functions. Vitamin C, the next one is going to be lemon and kale that you see here, can help make plant-based iron more absorbable. We're aware of that. We always tell people when you need to have more iron absorbed from plant foods, rich foods like from spinach, kale, you from beans, make sure you mix some lemon juice with it because that's going to help to absorb it better. Or bell peppers because they're rich in vitamin C. Adding black pepper to turmerics or turmeric spiced foods can enhance curcumin's or turmeric's bioavailability by 1,000 times. So mixing when you're adding turmeric to your meals a little bit, you want to add a little bit of black pepper because it's going to enhance how available it is to our body. So finally, the last point I want to make with this presentation is the importance of looking not only at food, but also what other factors can help to reduce the risk of developing cancer. The American Institute for Cancer Research put together this great graphic. It's called A Blueprint to Beat Cancer. So what are we looking at here in the different images? We have here what's important is be at a healthy weight. So keep your weight within the healthy range and avoid weight gain in adult life. This is difficult right now during COVID, especially if we're anxious and we're dealing with all the news. So being careful about that and noticing what it is that we're eating more often. Are we choosing healthy options? On the right here, we have physically active. We're trying to get to 30 minutes a day. You can start slowly. If you're not at 30 minutes, start with 5 minutes a day and slowly increase to 30 minutes. Limit consumption of sugar sweetened drinks. Drink mostly water and unsweetened drinks in the day. Do not use supplements for cancer prevention. Aim to meet your nutritional needs through diet alone. That's what's recommended. Limit alcohol consumption for cancer prevention. It's best not to drink alcohol. Limit consumptions of red and processed meats. Eat no more than moderate amounts of red meats throughout the week overall, such as little of beef, pork, and lamb. Eat little, if any, processed meat. Try to avoid processed meat overall. And by processed meat, I mean salami, pepperoni, things like that that are rich in salt. Eat a diet rich in whole grains, vegetables, and fruits and beans. That's the type of diet that we encourage because it helps to reduce your risk of cancer and what we've been talking about throughout these three presentations. Limit consumption of fast foods and other processed foods high in fat, starches, or sugar. Limiting these foods can help to control calorie intake and maintain a healthy weight. And then for mothers, it's encouraged that if you can, breastfeed your baby because that also reduces your risk of breast cancer later on in life. And after a cancer diagnosis, follow our recommendations if you can. So go back to these recommendations. If you have been diagnosed with cancer, you were treated, and you're looking at it, making sure that it's not coming back, make sure you follow these recommendations for that. Also, we encourage not to smoke or avoid other exposure to tobacco and excess sun because they also help to reduce cancer risk. So following these recommendations likely to reduce intakes of is likely help you reduce risk of intakes of salt, saturated fat, and trans fats, which together can help prevent other non-communicable diseases. So it's not just cancer when it's mentioning that. These recommendations can actually help you prevent other chronic conditions. So thank you very much for your time today, for sticking out throughout these series of presentations. If you forgot some of the information we presented, go back to the other presentations, look for them, see about how we can add those foods that we've been talking about. We hope to see you again in the future for future presentations. Let us know in the comment box below if you're interested in learning more about a certain topic. Don't forget to follow the Riverside Community Health Foundation and the Pink Ribbon Place on Facebook and Instagram. Stay safe and work on eating healthier. Thank you again.